Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Ben.
And we're here to break down Chapter 21 of The Mandalorian. Why do I sound excited? It's because we are less than a week away from celebration. Well, for Josh and I hopping on a plane, because we're going to London on Wednesday, next Wednesday. Crazy stuff. Josh, how do you feel? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
You're right, mate. Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm actually pretty excited. I can finally get proper fish and chips again after not having them for so long. I mean, for you, it's gonna be. I'm gonna really want to see your face about like eating things and trying things out because you've never left the States. So.
I'm excited.
Also seeing fans from around the world.
Yeah, I am 100% excited. It's also going to be great to meet a bunch of the people that listen to us. So I'm
actually excited to see like people that aren't. Yeah. I mean, I love the people from the States, but I'd love to see the people that aren't actually from the States that listen to us. It'd be cool.
And if you do run into us, we may or may not have
merch,
some merch
swag.
For you,
swag
and some and some t-shirts.
Swag.
You know, so if you say, but
the main question we're going to be asking you, and I'm going to ask you, and it's going to be for a shirt. It's going to be like, does Max Rebo have 4 limbs or 2? And if you say 2, you're definitely going to earn yourself some brownie points.
Oh man, I'm not gonna walk next to you during the con. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not next to you on that question.
It's 2
because I'm just gonna be dying inside. But we have some of the badge art here. We've got
they're really cool.
They have turned.
Ben likes that stuff. He liked that. He looked at it. He went, "That's cool."
Yeah, I they also released some of the merch and. You know, I'm not surprised, but there actually is a lot of
merch that you like today.
Yeah, like a lot.
Which is your favorite merch piece? Did you have any that you like?
Honestly, it's not anything Max Rebo. It actually is the blue. It actually is the Blue Harvest shirt and the Blue Harvest hat. I love that. I
know. I keep forgetting that you love the whole Blue Harvest thing.
Oh, dude, it's sick. So. I was super excited when they announced that they were doing 40th anniversary stuff because it was like they gotta have Blue Harvest, so I'm pumped for that. Hello everyone, hello. But yeah, so here we are. We are excited for London, and we're about to break down The Mandalorian Chapter 21. Before we start, how do we feel about this episode? Because I feel like we are finally getting into more like into the direction that they've been talking about, how it's going to be leading up to that big like Avengers event and everything. And the season has kind of been, you know, answering small questions here and there. But now it finally feels like we're actually starting on that path of more story.
Yeah, no, which is actually kind of funny because I think that we were talking about it earlier, how we felt like other episodes of Mandalorian kind of got into the story a little bit quicker. But I don't know about that anymore. I feel like maybe it did get into the story about the exact same kind of time. I mean, if this is basically them going to go and retake Mandalore, okay, interesting. But I mean, I thought it was already, you know, destroyed or enough to where they're like, we might not move back or something, but we'll see. I mean, as much as we have on that planet, it's like what spider thing, robot thing, and random old outskirts animals, and
don't forget the mythosaur.
Who needs that?
Yeah,
it's not real.
It's nice to see. Yeah, we're finally sort of getting into the meat of it, into the end game.
Also, it's cool seeing Bo-Katan's story come full circle in this. It's coming for full circle. That's really cool.
But
yeah,
it sort of feels a bit like the other seasons though. So it sort of starts off a bit of a bang, few self-contained things, and then all right, time to get into the meat of it.
I definitely saw the character growth for the armorer, and in this episode she is more accepting, and I think it's going to throw a lot of people off going forward, because she jumped from you can't take off your helmet to hey, take off your helmet. So I'm definitely excited to see where the story goes. But let's go to the beginning of it. We have the capital of Navarro, where we are back there. We see this beautiful this beautiful setting, and we still don't know anything about IG-11. How do we think that will come into play? Because that was the first thing that caught my eye during the scene.
I feel like he'll come back around the time that they really get back into Mandalore, because he was originally taken away for spelunking in Mandalore, and I feel like when they go back there, he'll start playing more of a pivotal role when they need to traverse those terrains again.
Yeah. Josh?
One second, I'm actually pulling it up for myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that we keep going back to Navarro, and I love how much has changed and everything. And
I'm glad we got a pirate payoff, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I was so worried that they were just going to ditch that whole pirate thing. And I was like, oh, that was set up so much. And then you didn't want to pull it off for the next episode or the next one or the next one. But then we finally got it. And I'm happy with seeing them come back.
I know that there were a lot of rumors that the main pirate was the captain was going to be the main villain for Skeleton Crew. So I'm glad that he.
Yeah. Because hey, we didn't see the body.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that also will be something that we'll talk about on the breakdown for the 2 episodes of the Bad Batch tonight. So stay tuned for that. But going forward, they are talking about expanding the actual land and adding more areas to make profit. And then all of a sudden, we see we hear this very large ship come into orbit, and of course, it's the ship from episode 1 of this season. And we then hear a lot of boat lingo. We see a bunch of different pirate Easter eggs from like just kind of different pirate genres, and we'll definitely talk about it. But we get Captain Salad here.
Captain Salad.
Well, nice. Yeah. So I love his look. I love the whole thing. It was very unique. And Grief Karga, it's just like, hey, listen, you don't belong here. Go home. And he's like, nah, this place is mine now. And they attack, and we kind of get an Easter egg towards A New Hope, because Grief Karga kind of he is calling out the new Republic to go and help them out, and he does the same thing that Leia does. And then we leave the planet and we go to a New Republic base, and we see a Y-wing come in. We see a bunch of different things, and there's actually a lot of behind the scenes Easter eggs in here, because some of these pilots are actual directors in the show, and some of them are people who work behind the scenes. There is Doug Chang, Dave Filoni's in there, a couple of the directors from the previous seasons come back and play pilots. So I thought that was really cool. And we just see, this wonderful character. He walks up and he talks to the officer. And how do we feel about Zeb's look in live action? I wasn't expecting to see him. I knew there were rumors, but I'm really glad that we got him in this.
You have an issue with his legs.
No, that was you. That was totally you.
Like, look at his legs. And I was like, I mean, I don't expect him to do some like weird ass like werewolf thing so far. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks
did
good.
feel-
Like
yeah. It felt very painted in, sort of very very special effectsy, but I still think it worked though. It did catch me off guard because I don't think I was expecting it, and so I think it just sort of jumped out a bit more at me. But
it's kind of weird to me that they did Zeb in
yeah
CG when they didn't have to. I feel
no,
but
Okay.
I do think it looked really good though. It just it definitely jumped out at me that it was CG. You know, like
you could
it wasn't
here's the
really
fun
fooling
thing.
me.
I think that you could tell that they're like they spent the money on this one, and that's why it pops out to me so hard. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa! I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, hello Zeb.
it's so detailed, so like almost too perfect. You know, it's just it caught me off guard. Definitely, it was awesome to see though.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely hoping to see more of him in Ahsoka, and we most likely will, and that's gonna feel.
I know you will.
Nah,
I can guarantee you
will.
Well, from the teaser trailer that we got of the man of Ahsoka back at Celebration in Anaheim, we actually saw the back of Zeb's head, for like a brief second. And that was 3 weeks into filming Ahsoka, and they were, they were just starting on the special effects. So I was very excited, and we're also getting Chopper and Ahsoka. We're getting Sabine. We're also getting Hera. So it's definitely going to be a Rebels reunion, and it was really cool to see Zeb in this. I wasn't expecting him to be a New Republic pilot. That threw me off because he was never really a pilot in Rebels, so he must have kind of
made something of himself.
Upskilling people, upskilling.
And I'm curious of what kind of ship he is flying now. Like, do you think he's more of a Y-wing
this
person?
is like their
Bomber,
outer
absolutely.
ring crew. So yeah, I'm it's interesting because this is like their like outer rim crew. So I'm interested into seeing what he's doing out there. Because I mean, for all we know, he's also kind of like, I joined this so that I would be able to look for Ezra more.
Oh, okay. I enjoy that theory, but then I'm like, okay, if that's true, then why isn't he with Sabine? Why isn't he with Ahsoka? And why isn't Hera there? Like,
because Sabine, they're going to be like,
cover more ground, I assume.
Because Sabine, they're probably going to be like, well, Mandalorian took someone later in this episode.
Yeah.
I wonder which Mandalorian it could be.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, it's cool seeing Rebels characters. I'm like,
yeah.
Although it is funny how we haven't seen Hera live action, and I'm like, that is like the easiest one you could have done. I'm so surprised.
Wasn't she piloting the Ghost in Rogue One? Wasn't she?
Yes.
She there?
So her and Chopper were there. We don't know where Zeb was, or Sabine was on Luthal, because she was protecting it. Yeah, before
I like loth cats.
The events of Return of the Jedi, and then after Return of the Jedi, Ahsoka comes and they'll go look for Ezra, but we probably won't see that until Ahsoka, because the rumor is that the first 4 episodes of Ahsoka will be the epilogue of Rebels, and then the next 4 episodes will then fall into the Mandalorian timeline. So it'll be kind of split in half,
like another Book of Boba Fett sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of. And then we just kind of learn more about the situation that Navarro is not technically part of the New Republic, and he's not having it, so he goes all the way to Coruscant again. I know some people. I mean, I'm kind of saying it's that Coruscant is kind of feeling like the new Tatooine. I just hope they don't overuse it even more. If we end up seeing it in Skeleton Crew or Ahsoka, I'll be like, oh, okay.
And then you can feel how I felt about Tatooine.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I will take Coruscant over Tatooine any
Any
day, no
day.
matter how much they
Any
use
day,
it. Any
bro.
day. Yep, absolutely. Night or day, I will take Coruscant
Exactly.
over
Race to the
any
food
planet
store.
as well. Yes. Closes at midnight.
See, I've always wondered, like, if this is their perfect opportunity to be like, because there's two polar opposite versions of Coruscant just in general. So I'm like, that's cool. Whereas we could explore both of those. Whereas I don't know how you're gonna really explore more of sand in Tatooine, and they just keep sending us there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's funny because it's like this is another side of Tatooine, and I'm like, so it's sand.
Well, even with Coruscant, though, we see it in different eras. Not only is there the underground and the above ground, but there's also Imperial occupied, New Republic, Old Republic. There's so many different eras which change so much about the planet. Whereas Tatooine is Tatooine all the time. It's
Scum
just
and villainy
Tatooine.
all the
It's just scum
time.
and villainy. It doesn't matter who's in charge, but Coruscant changes.
But
with
Luke
times,
came from there.
and
Anakin
Yes.
came from there.
So it's okay.
Well,
Watto came from there. All right.
They came from there. We don't need to
And-
stay there.
We first saw Max Rebo there as well. Just saying.
And we left. we left, and
We
there's
left
a
for a
reason why we
reason.
left.
Yep.
And
And went
then
to Coruscant in
we
Anakin's case.
kind of go to the complaint department. It kind of looks like, and we see this guy, also known as the cannibal from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
Love
How did we feel about his character?
He's very busy. Okay, obviously, and he really doesn't like droids. Putting more what do
might
you
be
call
a
it? Metal
Mandalorian
work
then.
on his
Yeah.
table, not paperwork. Metal work.
Chips.
Chip work.
Chip work.
Yeah. Chipping away at it. I liked him. He's got the same sort of demeanor that he has in his role that he plays in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's just very passive aggressive almost. It seems. I find it quite entertaining.
What was
I did like it.
Main complaint.
Wait, of
Rick's
his
character?
character?
Yeah. What was the complaint?
Wait, from me
No, just in general.
about
No, he
his
was saying complaints department. It was.
Oh,
Rick's
Oh,
position.
got it.
oh.
So yeah.
Oh,
So
I thought you meant like people were complaining about his character. I was like,
Oh,
this dude is
no.
great.
I hope not.
No. I again, I like how we have different comedians coming into the Star Wars universe in some way. And I think his character kind of fit in well because he just is, hey, I'm just here. I didn't even know that Navarro was even that he was even that Navarro is even part of the New Republic. And then Kane, she
He
walks
didn't even know
in.
it existed, did he?
So she walks in and she was like, well, technically it's not part. So I don't think that the New Republic should, help out the planet.
Yeah.
And again, she's a double agent, probably a triple agent. I don't know.
I don't know what she is doing, bro.
Yeah, but
Could she be like less malicious, please? Like, there's no subtlety in anything she does. She's like,
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm feeling like we're going to get a Scooby-Doo reveal. We're going to pull a mask off, and it's going to be thrown under there.
just like,
it was me the
What?
whole time.
The whole time.
yeah. So yeah, no, I liked his character. I loved how his character really was just like, yeah, I don't care about anything. Like, I mean, but I do care about my job, and I can't just give you special forces to go and take care of it. So,
Good luck.
Yep. It's like, nope,
Fix it yourself.
not an option. So then we end up having we have the officer end up going all the way to where Mando and the covert are hiding, and he lands there. He's expecting them to be all set and ready to attack him. And then we find out that the only reason why he knew where they were was because of R5. And R5, again, we got the confirmation that R5 was part of the Rebel Alliance and everything, and he was out on Tatooine, and he was undercover. And then the whole reason why R2 got to be Luke's droid was because of R5, because he ended up doing the self-destruct thing, and he ended up having a bad motivator.
Because you can use the Force.
Exactly. Because he is a Force wielder. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so how do we feel about that small reveal? I kind of knew that, but there are some audience members that,
hey, you know what? I understand that you need to keep the plot moving and then patch up that little plot hole piece, and then they're like, well, guess what? Boom, there we go. And I'm like, that makes sense. I don't know if that's how you had it planned, but it makes sense in my head, and that works. I'm glad you called attention to it, and now it's done.
It wasn't even in my mind, eh? I thought that he had, back in the Rebellion era, had planted a tracker on Bo's ship, because when he's coming in, as soon as he sees Bo's ship, he goes, "There you are," and I'm like, okay, so at some point they've
that would have made me think that, yeah, that's what I thought.
But then R5 came out. I was like, that's right.
Right.
Okay.
Cool. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was going, when did they ever meet? What? And then R5 came out. I was like, oh, right. Okay. No, easy.
Yeah. So Carson, Teva's like, hey, here is the message. Do with it as you will, but I suggest that you go and help them. And he also knows that there is
an impersonation.
There's also wait, hang on, what?
His Frozen impersonation doing this. I'm just getting a drink.
Yeah. But he knows there's something like larger going on, and he's one of the only people in the New Republic that really sees that. And again, to me, the people from the Empire kind of entering the New Republic, where they're retired, feels kind of like what Hydra did to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel. And you can definitely tell that. I mean, it's more obvious though. And when Teva sees Kane in the guy's office, he just he looks at the rank badge and then looks at her, and he's like, yeah, I know exactly of what's going on here. So I love how he's the only one that has common sense. And he also, says, if you don't act it on it now, it will be too late. And I think it's going to get to that point where Thrawn and the Empire will turn into the First Order, which we know it does. And I'm thinking that Teva's not going to be around for the sequels. So I'm going to say that, maybe he's the only one that has common sense. He talks to Leia, and then something happens where he gets killed, and that inspires Leia to really kind of speak out and saying, hey, the First Order is rising. That's my guess. And I love his character. And the actor that plays him is a big fan of Star Wars. So I'm so happy again that people who are involved in Star Wars are fans of it. And that's just a ongoing theme here. And that makes me really, really happy. But we then have him leave, and then we have Din thinking about, of what Karga has done for him, and that he needs to go and help him out. But also he's thinking about his entire group and family of Mandalorians, of where we can stop hiding in the shadows. We can have, an actual place to live. And he then has a meeting with the covert, and they talk about going over there, liberating the town. And when he's doing this, he has the hammer of the armorer, and it feels like that's the talking hammer. And that took me and that took me back to school when hey, if you want to talk, you have to have the talking stick or something. Josh, come on, dude. Did
You're
you not
correct.
have that?
I 100% agree with you.
so I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's a thing. But we then have him do his speech. It's very inspiring and everything. And then you have Paz Vizsla.
Does
stand
anyone
up.
have anything to say? And I was like,
Yeah.
hurry up, pause. Hurry up.
Yep.
Just interrupt him because I know you want to.
Yeah. And and he stands up, and it's very misleading the way that he talks, and he's just like, yeah, like these people try to kill us. We like had to leave because of them. Why on
We
earth?
had him in the first half.
Yeah. Why on earth would we try and save them? And then there's a pause. Because that's what we do. We're Mandalorians. Now let's go out there. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, cool.
Let's go.
Bowen
Right.
Din sitting there like, oh no.
and then the way that he says, this is the way, I was like, okay, cool. Because that's got like a real meaningful way to say, this is the way, when I feel like they've been using that term a lot this season for like everything.
This is the way.
Yeah, like, I mean, do we think that it has been overused, or do you think it's being used like, in the proper and not,
I mean, I haven't really taken too much notice of it. I have noticed that it is being used a lot, but I notice we're spending a lot more time with them than we have in previous seasons. So it's probably more of like a shock to the system, just because we're spending so much time with the Mandalorians and in the Mandalorian, whereas in like last season especially, it was just kind of nothing for the most part.
Yeah. And we have them all rally. They all talk about the plan. They and then we cut back to Grief Karga. He's trying to reassure the people that, hey, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. The new Republic is on their way, when he probably knows that they're probably not going to show up. So he's hoping that the message got to Mando somehow. I think he was hoping it would end up getting to Mando, and then we cut to the pirates, have taken over the town. We see kind of a Clone Wars throwback, because whenever there was a battle, I remember the episode from the Clone Wars of where there was the R unit that was kind of kept running into a wall, and then Obi-Wan uses the Force and knocks it over. And this is what that droid was doing. He just kept kind of running into the rock, and you can see like he's malfunctioning. He like has a decent amount of laser marks going through him.
And so just for a second, back to Grief Karga, does he have a direct link to the N1, or was it just the Razor Crest that he had a link to? Like a channel to contact Mando? Does he have it to his current ship, or is it just to the Razor Crest? Maybe that's why he didn't reach out.
I mean, I think he would. I think he would have one.
I thought he was going to try to directly contact Mando before he would try to get the New Republic involved.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe he doesn't have a link to his ship.
Or maybe he realized that or thought that this was going to be too much for Mando.
You needed the whole like New Republic like defense force to come and help them.
Yeah.
Right. And this also kind of takes me back to the Clone Wars again, because you have different planets that did not get help from the Republic because they were neutral and they weren't part of the Separatist Alliance. They weren't part of the Republic.
Yeah, I feel like this is just showing like they even make a reference so that you can understand what happens in the future. And this is a setup thing for the First Order coming to be. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, but the Outer Rim, they're just gonna grab forces and attack us, and you're never even gonna know when it happens because you're not gonna help anyone in the Outer Rim. They're like, so we can't do much.
Yeah, can't do anything in the core worlds either.
Yeah, I would honestly love to see a scene with Mothma just trying to cope and like kind of rally everyone in the Senate, and you can just see the corruption again, because I feel like that's what happens, and they don't believe in Leia when, you know, in the future where she's like, hey, the First Order is rising, when in reality they should have, because of Leia.
I'm not gonna believe Darth Vader's daughter.
Yeah, it's like, no way.
He killed my dad.
Yeah, and then sure enough, you know, we see in Force Awakens that they get blown up, and it's just another sign of corruption, because and that also takes me to Harry Potter, as well, to where the public wasn't believing that Voldemort was coming back, and by the time, you know, he did terrible things, it was too late. So, it's a huge sign of corruption when the people just want to believe everything's okay and there's peace, and in reality, you know, it's not just one small bubble, it's a whole galaxy, and there's
I do
many.
appreciate that we're moving towards having both sides, or showing both sides flaws and their differences, but their big similarities, and especially the politics in Star Wars. I like them finally being and addressing a lot of this kind of like, both of you were, you know, bad, and I'm like, that's I like, and especially from
actually having the time to do it, you know, not trying to shoehorn it into a movie to just be part of a movie, actually diving into it, especially with Andor, you know, it's good.
Coming off of Andor's side of it, I was like, wow, this is great, love this.
I also think it was great to just get a big fight scene like on the planet. I think this is some of the most action, like, of a big blaster fight I think we've had for all this, for the entire show, besides episode 1 of chapter 9 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, when like it felt like a movie and Jon Favreau directed it, because they fought the Krayt Dragon. I think this was like the big action scene like since then, and I thought that was great. I loved every second of the fight. Again, even though, you know, we had all these different pirates and everything, I was still hoping that we would see Hondo, because it's called the Pirate, right? So it's like, in my mind, Hondo is the pirate. Again, no Hondo.
Just go to Galaxy's Edge and meet him.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, because he's just walking around, but he's so busy over a Hondo Onaka Transport Solutions. But we have them kind of divide. You've got Din and his starfighter. He distracts them. He gets the fighters away. When Bo has the other Mandalorians land in the city, they're fighting. I actually was happy to see that some Mandalorians met their demise, and the reason why, because we see these people wear Beskar that is supposed to be super strong, and you cannot, you know, you can easily take a hit, but seeing them actually taken down, it shows that they are vulnerable. And we didn't see any of the Mandalorians perish in season 1 of Mando, even though at the end we, like, you know, go down to the sewers and we see like that pile of helmets and armor and everything, and it's just like, okay, how did that happen? And it's because
they don't all have Beskar though, don't they? Like how Mando in the first season starts off with standard parts. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I loved the whole fight scene. I thought it was great. I loved diving into that fight, and I loved the scene of where they yank one of the pirates on the ground, and then you have the Celians, right? The Babu Frick people. They're just
little frickers, as David would say.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, no, I love the whole fight, and then they grab the cannon. They like
monkey lizard.
You know, I loved how they were hiding in the tree and being like over there. Didn't say that, of course, but just kind of yeah. So yeah, no, I thought the whole fight
There's an
scene was
ambush.
great. On a scale from 1 to 10, do you think this was okay? Like for all the fight scenes, like the big fight scenes that
It is definitely one of the ones I really liked because you had the dynamics of having a little bit of a dogfight versus like a big ship, and you had the stakes of having all these nameless Mandalorians come in and fight to try and take the planet back. However, for me, I don't feel like the stakes are raised as much as other fights have been. I'll put it as like a middle of the road kind of fight, but a little bit higher in the middle of the road because I really did like having the dynamics of having not only a dogfight wise, but also on the ground wise.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, it'd probably be about the same for me. One thing I did really appreciate though was actually being able to see the Mandalorians use military tactics and their military knowledge to actually move through the streets and clear things out, which was nice to see. You know, like them to actually see them as a force to be reckoned with instead of these people that just sort of hang around beaches and getting eaten by different creatures all day. You know, it's
like in season 1 where they rescue Mando.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
what did you say? Like,
you know, it is nice to see that.
And they have we then kind of see the pirate ship references because you know they are getting into the cannons, kind of like like a pirate ship, and there's also a Ugnaught on there that has which Josh just pointed this out to me, but I said it was the same colors. It was the same color scheme as Shmi from Peter Pan, but ILMB actually. Josh, just say the fact because I'm going to mess it up.
So he's just talking about Industrial Light and Magic making the same effects as other Peter Pan projects.
Yes, and they use the costume from Hook, right?
I'm going to say that the Ugnaught was a fun special effect throwback to Peter Pan because he looks like he is dressed in the same costume that Shmi is wearing. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was fun. Yeah. Like really hammering it home, guys. We're pirates here. All right. Pirates.
And we also haven't seen an Ugnaught since season 1 of Mando, since the passing of Quail. Which again, that death really, really saddened me because I love that character.
Thanks for bringing that one up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. People still really like his line, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yes, we probably hear it almost every day. Mm-hmm. And then we have the fight continue. It doesn't look like the pirates are going to win, and they end up winning the battle on the ground. And then Bo and Mando strike the ship. The first mate leaves. He abandons the pirate ship, and he leaves the planet. He goes somewhere. Okay, so here's my theory about that is that he will go and leave, and then he ends up running into Hondo or something, and then Hondo tries to start a crew again, and then we see them in Skeleton Crew because I think Hondo is going to show up in Skeleton Crew in some way.
He'll have to go somewhere in the system though, because he doesn't have a hyperdrive, does he? In that ship, that little ship. No idea. It's too small for it.
Huh? Yep. And then we see the captain go down with the ship, explodes. We don't see a body, so
he's gonna come back.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I did like how they're like, no.
And it turns out he's Ray's uncle.
I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. How do we think he's gonna come back, or do we actually think that he is, he's gone? He's dead.
I think
because
the
rumor.
I want him to come back, but I think he's gone.
The rumor that he was. Rogan. Yeah, because the rumor.
Who brought that up? Whose rumor is that?
It's like all over like social media. It's like everywhere that he was. So it's supposed to be one of the main villains, for its Skeleton Crew. And then I was just talking with Mike, all Star Wars, and we were talking about maybe might be true, and they end up having Skeleton Crew be like a prequel, like not in the prequels, but like maybe the events of Skeleton Crew happened before the events of Mando. So it's technically still part of the Mandalorian timeline. It's happening during that time, but it's happening before the events of Mando season 3. I'm saying that my guess is probably no, and we're gonna get someone different, like a different villain for that. Which I'm hoping that's the case because
brother Borean or something. I don't know.
Yeah, as much as I love Captain Salad, I wouldn't be, I don't know if I would buy it for him being the main villain for a show, because like I love seeing him like this, but being the main antagonist.
Well, we had that one guy who ditched, so
yeah, so he will probably return. I'm hoping with Hondo, because seeing Hondo live action, I'm gonna lose it, bro. 100%, I'm gonna lose it.
Live action.
Well, on screen, like actually on screen,
You've seen him on a screen
interacting with characters that we know.
On like a TV show.
Oh my gosh, dude, stop.
On a Disney Plus TV show.
Thank you.
There we go. My bad. Understand.
And then after the fight, Karga offers the Mandalorians a place to live, and which we'll talk about it because it kind of contradicts the end of what the armor and everything that happens with Bo. But then Paz Vizsla's like, hey, the armor wants to talk to you. She goes back to we go back to the sewers that we saw in the first episode of The Mandalorian, like ever. And we go back to where the armor used to be, and you used to have her old setup and everything. And she pretty much says, I believe you about seeing the Mythosaur and everything, and I've been thinking a lot. Take off your helmet. How did we feel about her saying that? Because I was like, wait, what? Because of the whole first part of the season was Mando going on that journey to redeem himself. And I think it's because, I mean, they do talk about it, of where Bo is like, hey, I am of where the armor says that she's on both sides.
I wonder if she does, like, the armorer does know who she is, and she's just not like leading it and being like, because they've done like the same things and know a lot of the exact same thing. So I'm kind of like,
I'm thinking maybe she was there at the battle and at the end of the Clone Wars, like right when Order 66 was about to happen, but she was fighting on Darth Maul's side. Yeah. I'm thinking that she is one of those Mandalorians. And then when Order 66 happened,
or do you think that she's
No, I don't think she is. I think she is one of the Mandalorians that was serving under Maul, and then when Maul left and everything and went into hiding and went crazy, like her and Gar Saxon and all these people, I think they all kind of like went their own ways, and I think the armorer, kind of restarted the whole, don't take your helmet off thing. And then, seeing Bo and like kind of learning more. I don't know if she's playing Bo. Do you guys think she's, kind of messing with her?
I don't think she is. I think what's happened is, especially this season, she's just kind of sat back and observed her. She's seen that when Bo's involved, things get done. Son gets saved. She's able to lead the attack to save Navarro. She sees that things get done under her, and now she's also saying that she's seen the Mythosaur. So I think she genuinely sees her as the person to get this done. If anyone can do it, she sees it's her. Yeah.
And she takes off her helmet, and she's like, "Okay, you will, go to the other places where there are Mandalorians, and you will bring them to us, and then we are gonna, actually do something and not hide anymore." And then they go up, and Bo walks out with her helmet off, and everyone's staring, and they're like, what? Like, and the armor's okay with this. And then
I thought Paz was going to throw some hands there.
yeah, because Paz was
He loves doing it. He loves doing it.
He was the first person to speak up and was like, "Yo, her helmet's off. What's up with that?"
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, man, yeah. And the armor makes it very clear of like, we are gonna take back Mandalore. And that kind of contradicts of this whole episode to me, because the whole point of going to Navarro was to find a new home, and they're like, you know what? No, we are going a step further. We're going to our actual home. So it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, all right, cool. Like I think that's great. I love that we're finally getting into the direction of something that has been in the making for a while, which is us going to Mandalore, taking it back. I think it's going to be great. I think
like Navarro for them at the moment will just be more of a rallying point for all of the Mandalorians that Bo's able to collect before they take off to actually, because it's like a proper safe place for them now to be, where it doesn't really matter if they're exposed or not, because it's their place now. It's not somewhere that they need to really hide anymore. So they can start building up their force to take back Mandalore from this point. And I think that's what the armor is seeing.
Yeah. I also think that I also know that this is going to create an issue, because the armorer is sending Bo to go and find other Mandalorians, right? Well, the whole reason why the group of Mandalorians that she had left her, because she didn't have the Darksaber. So is she going to challenge Din before she goes, or is she just going to go? Because to me, the whole point of getting the Darksaber was to rally forces so they could take back Mandalore. So I'm thinking maybe the next episode we'll, get something with either Moff Gideon, or we'll end up getting something with Bo challenging Din for the Darksaber, because it wouldn't make sense for her to go and leave without the Darksaber. Because
I still think it's hers on a technicality from episode 2, because he's disarmed by that creature, and then she finishes off the creature.
This movie, we all thought that she was going to take it from there.
Yeah.
I feel like they have something planned or something coming, where a moment where she was like, and then here you go, here's your cool toy that you've always wanted, and then you get this whole like little flashback moment of like her being like, this is where I started and this is where I'm at, and now I have it now. I'm like, okay.
Do you think that Din will put up a fight for it, or do you think that he will just be like, okay, let's fight. If you win, go ahead and take it. I don't care.
I don't think he cares about it that much.
He doesn't care enough. Yeah, like I feel like he'd just be like turn and be like, "For you."
He's like, I tried to do this last season. Here you go. Thank you.
Just take it, please.
Just do it. And then we fade to black. We think the episode's over, but it's not.
It's very weird. This setup was weird.
Yes. I felt like the next scene that followed felt like an after credit scene. I was like, oh, okay. And we have
credit scene.
Yeah. And we have them kind of scanning a shuttle, and it's that classic Imperial shuttle that we've seen in Return of the Jedi, the end of Empire Strikes Back. Like, we've seen it so much since then. And we have Teva just kind of scanning, and they discovered that this was the ship that Moff Gideon was on, and they're scanning for any survivors. Probably not, because there's a giant hole that was like a big chunk of the ship that was taken out. So everyone inside died. There is no sign of Moff Gideon, but there is a small piece of Beskar in there.
Ooh.
And Teva's then confused, because he's like, wait, so the Mandalorians broke him out? If so, why? And then the screen goes to black. There's a big theory there. There's a lot of speculation and thoughts. what do we think is gonna happen? Do we think that maybe the Mandalorians that left Bo, because she didn't have the dark saber, do we think that maybe they're the ones that ended up breaking Moff Gideon out, and maybe they're like Moff Gideon is the rightful ruler of Mandalore, or do we think that
That's a good thought.
or that the Empire / First Order came in and they broke them out, and then they planted that Beskar there to kind of.
I still feel like we're almost at getting our Thrawn reveal. So
Yeah.
I think this is going to lead into Thrawn somehow, some way. We're getting there.
Or the other theory, which I don't think is what that this could be, would maybe be Sabine and Ahsoka came in.
Yes.
And they took him because maybe Moff Gideon knows where
because
Thrawn is.
That was her main question. It's like,
right, but then that doesn't add up why the ship was destroyed and why all of those new Republic officers died, unless a fight broke out and then they all got killed because of Moff Gideon, and there's nothing they could do, and then they were just like, hey, we're just gonna leave the ship here. But I don't think Sabine and Ahsoka would do that. I feel like they would call someone unless they're so plot driven, like to find Thrawn, that they're just like, oh, if they die, they die, which I don't think they would. But yeah,
I feel like it's it'll be Thrawn, and I reckon he would have used, is it the Dark Troopers that we saw at the end of season 2? I feel like he would have used those to break open the hull and just sort of take him without a fight, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
then plant the Beskar there.
He also probably had some communication with Kane, most likely, because like they were talking about it. They were talking about them, like, of Moff Gideon not making it to the trial, like in episode 2, and that felt like a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, okay, so how long has the ship been sitting there? Was it there for a couple of days? Was it there for a couple of months? Like, how long has the ship been there, and how long?
A long time.
Yeah. And the screen fades to black, and that's the end of the episode. I overall enjoyed it. I loved how we were actually getting to the that we're finally getting to the larger part of this whole story of the Mandalorian. I've loved all the world building episodes. I loved last week where we got Kelleran Beck and Grogu in the flashback with Order 66. I loved everything. I was so happy to see that, and then we've got more stuff about Coruscant. So honestly, great so far. But I'm glad that this episode was more of, hey, here is the larger picture. This is where we're going. And even, though it was a small cameo, seeing Zeb there is a big deal. That is a big deal, because that's leading into the Ahsoka stuff. And they're throwing in small things here and there. Like, for example, you had the Purgles. It's like, hey, Purgles equals Ezra and Thrawn, because that's where we last saw them.
More Rebel stuff. That's why they just keep doing that. Like, ooh, I know you like the Rebels.
Yeah. And it's going to be wild to see pretty much season 5 of Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka, because of just seeing live action Hera and Sabine and Chopper and Zeb just all together is just going to be wild to me. I think something that I would lose, like I would lose it if we saw like a flashback of Kanan maybe training with Ezra, of seeing
Kanan.
Yeah, of seeing like Freddie Prinze Jr. like come back. I think that would be crazy. Because we
know his school was coming back as well.
Oh
he appeared in Bad Batch, so he's keen.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no. Overall, great episode. Loved it. I loved I love the action. I love the cameos. I loved the more plot building. For next week, though, it's kind of unknown what's going to happen. At this point, we've seen pretty much all of the trailer footage except the one shot of where we have we kind of have like that grass plain, and then we've got the couple of domes, like kind of what like Sundari looked like, and then that's it. That's like the last shot that we haven't seen yet. And we still don't know if that's going to be a flashback or if that's Bo going over to different civilizations of Mandalorians. Like, we just don't know. And that's the part that I love when we get to this part in any season of the show, when there's no more footage from the trailers, because now it's a guessing game, and this is where the theories either are super wrong or they come to life in a beautiful way. Because I remember all the theories for the Last Jedi, and it was just the funniest thing when, like, it was not Darth Plagueis, it was just a clone of the Emperor, and somehow he returned, and it was like, oh, okay, like, and then there was like the theory of the kid that from Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them, that he was like Snoke or something. So it was yeah, I know.
I remember the ones about it being Mace Windu as well.
Yeah, so of just
I remember
seeing
that
all
one.
of just seeing all the theories on them, that not come to be, and it's something completely different than what we thought, was just kind of funny, but also kind of thrilling, because it's great not to know, of the plot. And I think that's the direction that we're going in now. And also, it's Dave Filoni, and we know he loves to mess with our emotions.
Okay.
And I got a feeling that something big is going to happen at the end of this season. And if it's any indication, just like of kind of cliffhangers, you can also see the last 2 episodes of the Bad Batch, and like, that was like, oh, okay. So I got a feeling he will probably do it with this season, and it's going to be crazy. But I'm excited. I'm totally excited. But overall, did we enjoy the episode?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So we will do a breakdown for the next episode right before we go, because it's on the day that most of us are actually, going over to Celebration. So we will have that breakdown all set and ready to go. And then tonight is also our last breakdown for the Bad Batch season 2. So stay tuned for our live feed at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For everyone that's part of our Patreon, thank you so much. We would not be doing this if it wasn't for your,
Appreciate that. All those names at the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much.
Yeah. For Chris.
And even if you're not a part of the Patreon, I just want to appreciate all of you guys who are listening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And because we would not be going to Celebration.
We wouldn't be here without you.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for just being part of this wonderful community and family. We're also on YouTube. Go and subscribe. Ben, stop, bro. Come on. We are also on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Podcast, Twitter at Stuff Pod. Again, Patreon at Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187. TikTok, search Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We also have an email, starwarstuffpodcast@gmail.com. Facebook, surprise, surprise, Star Wars Stuff Group and Star Wars Stuff Podcast page.
Wow, those are some plugs.
Please go on Apple Podcasts and give us a review, even though it's all about David. Go and check out our website. We also have a link to our sister podcast, the Marvel Stuff Podcast. Go and check it out. We're also on Twitch, Star Wars Stuff Gaming. Jedi Survivor's coming out soon. Josh and I are going to be playing that like nonstop as soon as it comes out. So tune in for our breakdown. Again, sorry that David wasn't here. He'll be back next week. But from all of us from the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, from myself, Josh, and Ben.
Hello.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.
Oh.